Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of Mad Dog Productions podcast. I'm your host, the Mad Dog Tyler Smith, also known as Smitty, also known as Ya Boy. Today we are just going to be uploading the first episode of the podcast. Now, the podcast in itself is just going to be me, hopefully having other people on, or more or less myself, just ranting, raving, and rambling about world news, wrestling news, and everything else in between. From personal interests of mine to personal interests of some of the guests that we might have on, to just random topics just to get off my chest. Now, granted, I don't know if anybody's actually going to listen to this, so this is going to be more or less me just trying to keep my mental sanity and vent certain things. Obviously, there's going to be no specific target of what I vent about, but we'll get down to that when we get to it. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode. So, here we are. Right now, this first episode, woo! Kind of just an impromptu idea. I've been wanting to do a possible podcast for a long time, and I figured, man, might as well record the first episode and see how it goes. Today's topic, one of the small topics I was thinking about talking about today was the current state of professional wrestling. It's good. Now, I've been a pro wrestling fan for probably about, I'm 26. This is being done on the 6th of October of 2021. I have 6 days till my birthday, so I'll be 26 here soon. I've been a wrestling fan, probably about 26. I'm terrible at math. I know it's not even that hard of math, but it's too early in the morning right now. But probably roughly about 15 years. No, that would put me at 15. 26 minus 15. It'd make me 11. So probably about 9-ish. That I started watching wrestling, got really into it. Predominantly, obviously, I was a WWE fan and or still, to a certain extent, a WWE fan. I'll explain that later. My grandfather, back in the early 90s, had worked for the Anawahi Samoan Dynasty in Allentown as a promoter for their small promotion, WxW C4. I'll be putting a lot of these company links in the description below. But he was able to have some great times, working with the Samoan families and a lot of the superstars and talent that would come through. He had met Too Cold Scorpio and so many other guys. Too Cold Scorpio to this day, he says, still is his favorite wrestler. So I always thought that was cool. Too Cold Scorpio is cool as hell too. He's super funny, super cool. He had gotten to meet Randy Anawahi, Yokozuna. He had met a lot of the Samoan Dynasty. He met The Rock when he was still knee height. So hearing the stories from him and seeing a lot of the cool pictures and hearing the stories of seeing guys for those of you who don't know, it's well documented, at least for Batista, but Batista, Gene Snitsky, and Billy Kidman all graduated from the same professional wrestling school at different times, but all graduated the same professional wrestling school in Allentown, PA. With that, there's a lot of really cool. I'll put it this way. I personally think that the state of Pennsylvania, is the spiritual home for professional wrestling. You can sit there and say Georgia is. You can sit there and say Illinois. Pennsylvania is and forever will be the spiritual home of professional wrestling. Where did Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson win their first tag championships to become the first African American tag champions in WWE history? That's right, Hazleton, PA. I cannot tell you how many Attitude Era Monday Night Raws emanated from State College, Pennsylvania, WrestleMania 15 was in Philly. And granted, there have been other manias that have held more important and or higher regard than others, but 15, dude, that was Austin Rock for the first time. So many amazing matches on that card. Again, Pittsburgh. We got Kurt Angle. We got Larry Zbyszko. We got all of ECW from Philly. ROH. and a lot of other companies like that. Chikara, I'm pretty sure Chikara is a Pennsylvania company. I'll put it out there too. Chikara, I honestly never got into, more or less because I just didn't know where to find their product. I credit a lot of those guys. I loved when I read about and or learned about the ant gimmick that they had in Chikara. I loved that idea. I really liked that idea. I thought it was really cool. But like with now though, in the state of professional wrestling, like I said, what do we have? We have AEW, we have WWE, and in that same, I think the big four personally, well, I guess five, if you were to break it down that way, the big five in professional wrestling would be, I think, WWE, and I'm not putting these in any order. I'm just saying that these are the five that I would consider the top companies on the planet at the moment. Um, you have WWE, you have AEW, you have the National Wrestling Alliance, NWA. You have Impact, and then you have shit. There was one more company I was just thinking of. Oh, New Japan. New Japan. Sorry, New Japan. How do I forget New Japan? I've actually just now gotten into New Japan Wrestling. I always was a huge fan, just knowing the history and Inoki and a lot of that stuff. I was always a fan of New Japan, but within the last few years, probably within the last like 5 years, I've really been trying to follow New Japan. If anybody listening knows how to watch just New Japan shows without having to go through a major streaming service, like I'm not trying to be cheap, but at the same time, I already pay for Peacock for WWE. I already pay for Fight for NWA, which in comparison, shit, an hour-long episode of NWA Power, which if anybody hasn't gone out to check out, please do. NWA has been putting out some of the greatest fucking content in the last couple of years. When they revamped their product for YouTube, like I don't know if anybody saw or if anybody had been following up to this point. NWA, I think 2020, early 2020, late 2019, maybe early mid 2020, had started a weekly episode program called Power, and that was great. We saw, oh my god, we saw Tim Storm was still. It was either Tim Storm was still world's champion or he had just come off of being world's champion. We had Aldis in the height of his title reign. He had already went on and wrestled Cody. He had already won it back from Cody and everything. And I'll put it out there. As far as the interpromotional stuff that they had with AEW and Cody Rhodes taking on Nick Aldis and the NWA for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then Cody winning, and Cody's reign wasn't, terribly long and everything. I thought it was good enough for a transitional thing. And, for the nostalgia pop to see Cody Rhodes win the same belt that his dad did, I think that's a feel-good moment that surpasses more or less having not a good wrestling product, but having... Let me put it this way. Nick Aldis had like over 1,000, I think over 1,000, something like that. Close to 1,000 days reigning as NWA World's Champion, and in between that he only lost. Oh, excuse me. He only lost that once. That was Cody, and for only a couple months, less than a year, and then he won it back. And like I said, to have that small break, to have Cody win that, and I feel like it gives more prestige. Obviously, it gives Cody that rub of winning the same title his dad did, and being NWA champion. The biggest thing that I see about that kind of stuff in wrestling, if you were going to win, say I'm just going to use AEW and NWA as an example. If you're going to have AEW win the main title from the NWA and have the title on that wrestler or that competitor for, say, 6 months, but they don't even show up on NWA television, that's bullshit. I just think that's bullshit, personally. Cody should have at least made it to some kind of NWA event other than the one that he lost. He dropped the belt back to Aldis on. Am I saying that it's a huge negative that it's going to take me completely? No, not at all. But at the same time, it's just those storyline continuity pet peeves where, I'll put it this way: if I was Billy Corgan running the NWA, and Tony Khan came to me and was like, "Hey, we'd like Cody to win the world title." and then Nick win it back, and I'd sit there and flat out ask him, was Cody gonna be on NWA TV? Oh no, we're gonna keep him on Dynamite. I don't think Dynamite. No, Dynamite was a thing at the time, but at the same time, this is like, oh no, we're gonna keep him on our product, and then we're gonna just drop the belt belt to you, back to Aldis. I think it was NWA 70. I want to say. If anybody knows better than I, please correct me in the comments. But it just comes down to a point where to have that singular title reign for the nostalgia pop for Cody, like I said, winning the NWA World Title, the oldest wrestling championship in pro wrestling championship, and one of the oldest pro wrestling championships in our current standings, but also to have Cody just kind of, oh hey, cool, I love the NWA, I just won the world title, now I'm not going to show up on any of their fucking shows until I actually lose it. That's just kind of dickheadish, and I guarantee that's not Cody's thing. It more or less probably came down to contract or something like that, to where he wouldn't have been able to regularly appear on NWA programming. Plus, at the time, they didn't have a weekly show, so it's like, now that when you put it in that perspective, they didn't have a weekly show. They were running 2-month time spans in between their shows. I'm not 100% sure. Again, if anybody else knows better than I, correct me, please. But it just seems like Cody could have done a little more for the National Wrestling Alliance. Am I saying that he negatively affected the NWA by winning the world title from Nick Aldis? No, not at all. I think it actually helped the world title at the time, because I think when you have a championship reign like Aldis, where he hit almost 1,000 days or something like that, super long reign, which side note, I will say it was an amazing reign for a world's champion. I personally love Nick Aldis. I think he's an amazing talent. I think he's an amazing worker. Married to Mickie James, is a great husband as far as outside of wrestling, from what we've seen on social media and different media calls that they've been on together, and a great dad. Like, anybody who's seen the NWA Power in the show, like, here and there they'll play a commercial for Nick Aldis's like retro rubber action figure, and it's his son. Like, it's his son in the ad. You can fucking tell. Like, it's in their living room, or like in the man cave of their house, that they just filmed this random TV spot. But I love that kind of stuff. It just shows a different quality of people that, you can obviously hate the character. You can sit and hate with absolute disgust that character. But as wrestling fans, we have to be able to separate the real life from character. And obviously there's a bunch of guys that just over personify their characters. I mean, fuck, look at MJF. I think MJF is one of the best heels we've had in years. Granted, am I gonna say that MJF kind of throws things out there here and there for cheap heat? Yeah, maybe, but at the same time, not only can he actually back it up in the ring, which a lot of heels that have amazing vocal presences, for promos and cutting people down and all this other stuff, they're shit in the ring. I hate to be that way, but a lot of times we get guys that talk so fucking well in wrestling, and then you just find out, oh god, they are dog shit in the ring. But MJF, no, man, he's fucking phenomenal. I think it's really cool. I really love the heel work. I love the storylines that they've been doing with him, and to have him poised to be a top world contender for AEW's championship, oh fuck yeah, I'm down. When MJF wins the AEW championship, I cannot fucking tell you how down as a clown I will be. To have a heel champion like MJF, oh my god. Oh, just the ratings I think are going to go up. And this is all personal opinion. This isn't, I will only pull facts when I have the actual facts on me. Like, I'm going to put out their personal opinion and share with you guys how I feel about certain things in wrestling. But at the same time, everybody's opinion about professional wrestling is always going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Subjective. It's like music. I think that, like, Motorhead, the Dropkick Murphys, and Dean Martin, let me go through two more. Just add like a 5 count there. What did I say? Motorhead, Dropkick Murphys, Dean Martin, Michael Bublé, and Bob Marley. All 5 of them are artists and groups that I actually like in music. But in this example, I'll put out those 5 are the best, greatest, the best artists and singers of all time. I mean, you also have Justin Timberlake, you have NSYNC, you got Britney Spears, you got Sabaton, you got Metallica, Linkin Park. Um, God, I made myself sad thinking about Linkin Park. Fucking thank you, Chester Bennington, for everything that you ever did for us and providing some of the greatest music I've ever heard in my life. I know this is a random tangent, but I got to put this out there that Linkin Park was a very, very, very influential musical group to my life, and I did for a long time aspire to be a professional singer. And Chester was the guy. Chester was the man. Him and Chris Cornell, both of them were my absolute heroes. Outside of Michael Bublé and Dean Martin and stuff like that, but at the same time, like our household was a very sad and somber place for a few days after we had heard about what happened to Chester. And I can only imagine, our house was fucking sad and depressed and all that kind of stuff. I can only fucking imagine how his family and everything feels. That's one of the big things that picks me out of funk. It's like, dude, it could be a hell of a lot worse. But as it's always talked about, ladies and gentlemen, depression is something that people unfortunately are very, very good at hiding. And there can be a lot of sadness behind that smile. You just gotta open up and be like, hey man, are you okay? So this is a Mad Dog Productions public service announcement to check your friends, make sure they're doing okay. Just reach out and ask if they're all right. Make sure to talk to them a little bit, make sure everything's all right. Because the world sucks. The world is it's a crazy place. But at the same time, if we can all band together and at least be able to sit down with each other and talk things out and be able to just get things going again, like how they had been before. Obviously, we're never going to get back to what we used to have as far as a society and a people. But at the same time, if we work hard enough to actually put forth the effort to make changes not only in our personal lives, to make positive changes in other people's lives, whether indirectly or directly, that's the goal, man. That's the absolute goal. The way I see it is, you can look at it from an American citizen aspect, which I partly put that way, but as a human aspect, we have a duty to our fellow man to try to do everything in our ability to take care of our own, our wives, our husbands, our sons, daughters, moms, aunts, uncles, our families, our close friends. But at the same time, we all have to take a general standpoint to do what we can for our fellow man. Whether that's, it could be the smallest thing. Washing your fucking hands after you go to the bathroom. It's fucking gross. With everything going on, I don't think a lot of people are going to appreciate that. But at the same time, there are shitty people on this planet. There are very shitty people on this planet. We've seen that in the last few years. And before anybody makes a comment, I don't follow politics. Fuck politics. Fuck Republicans and fuck Democrats. I'm an independent technically, but I usually just don't give a fuck. Most of the time, if I pay attention to politics, I'm double checking to see what's going on with legislation and lawmaking as far as veteran affairs and firearm laws. Those are the two biggest points of politics that I actually have a major interest in. Being a Second Amendment supporter, and more or less just trying to make sure that the motherfuckers that literally risk their lives for us on battlefields get what the fuck they deserve when they get home. Myself and other friends and family have seen countless and too many times where, look at Vietnam. Them boys, we didn't even need to send those boys to Vietnam. And when they came back, they got spat on, called baby killers, and literally got shunned by fucking society. And you guys watch Forrest Gump and think that Lieutenant Dan is just this crazy trope of a character that they wrote. No, that shit's real. Like PTSD and the mistreatment of veterans when they come home from fucking shit, dude, it is fucking real, and it is disgusting. And a lot of people are gonna sit there and be like, well, they can do that. Well, it doesn't fucking help when you have no fucking legs and you can barely get anywhere to get to a fucking job. But if the VA was actually doing their fucking job and actually helping these people, granted, we can help give them disability checks and veterans affairs checks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's one thing. But at the same time, to have actual representatives like Michael Kennedy out of Randolph County in Indiana. That motherfucker is in a van driving motherfuckers to doctor's appointments, making sure they get to the bank, making sure they get to the Veterans Affairs office. If somebody needs help with something, he is calling commanding officers in other states trying to get shit. Like, to Michael Kennedy, my uncle Mike, my great uncle Michael, my great uncle Mike, man, he's been rocking that kind of shit for over, I think, 20 years now, and I cannot be any prouder to have him part of the family. I cannot sit here and tell you how proud I am of him. He was a 20-year Army recruiter in Indiana and Wisconsin. After that, he had done a bail bonds and then ended up being a Veterans Affairs officer in the state of Indiana. And I can't tell you how fucking proud I am of how much amazing work that he's done, not only for veterans, but for the local area in itself. And that in itself, right there, is the general... That's what we got to do for each other. We got to sit and actually support each other no matter what we do. Granted, if somebody's being a dickhead, fuck them. I don't want to be mean about it, but I've gotten to a point in my life where I know what I want. I know what I want for my son. I know what my wife wants for herself and our relationship as a whole. I know what my best friends want. I know what my family needs and or wants. So if there's anybody out there that either is going to negatively affect that or is just going to negatively just put a fucking hindrance and just make everything seem negative, fuck them. Just fuck them. I have no time for you. I already have the very, very low mental capacity for stress to begin with. I don't fucking need you in my life. I'm already fucking dealing with my mental sanity as it is. I don't need you fucking tap dancing on my cerebellum. Cerebral cerebellum. I think that's the word I'm looking for. But anybody who knows more about medical stuff like that, please comment below. But anywho, there's Smitty's be good and be nice to the world rant. Be nice to the trees. I am the Smitty. I speak for the trees. Don't fucking respect them. I'll break your fucking knees. Anyway, but no, back to our main topic, wrestling in itself. AEW is really good. I don't know really what else to say. Personally, there's a lot of guys that in wrestling that I had no idea about until AEW came around, and I'm so glad that they did, because like the fact of being a fan and being able to see the comedic side of John Silver has been fucking great. I love John Silver. A lot of people may say he's too much for the product or whatever. I think he's fucking great. I think he's hysterical. WWE, man, like, it's one of those things where somebody posted on Facebook the other day. I think it fits pretty true with a lot of wrestling fans. Like, WWE has more or less done so much that it's kind of hindered my personal belief in the company, but at the same time, WWE is home, more or less, for a lot of wrestling fans, because it was the only... Whoa, almost dropped my mic. It was the only wrestling product that we had for how long? Between WCW dying and... I wasn't around... I was around, but I wasn't a wrestling fan when WWE had bought out WCW and ECW when the Invasion storyline happened. I didn't get into wrestling till about 2004, 2005. And from there, like, it was one of those things. Sorry, I just got a message from a buddy of mine. I got into a fight ages ago when I was still in school, and a buddy of mine sent me a screenshot of his Facebook memories saying, laugh my ass off, Smith goes over plank. And it's like, oh god, it was about nothing. It was a fight. It was a show about nothing. Well, what do we do? Nothing. Or what's it about? Nothing. It was a fight over nothing. What were we fighting about? Nothing. That motherfucker got lucky though, because he ended up like we ended up like throwing punches, and then we ended up getting each other to the ground. And when he did, he ended up, I don't think he did it on purpose, but part of his fucking face scraped against my arm, and his braces cut into my arm. But then like he puts my arms around my back and pretty much tries to bear hug me, and I at least had almost a foot on this guy, and probably at least 20 pounds, maybe 10 at least. So at that point, like, I'm just looking at him, and I just start headbutting him, just bonk, bonk, bonk. He finally lets go, and I won't lie. I tried to German suplex him. It turned into dog shit. Ended up just flubbing both of us to the ground. And then my buddy who sent me the original message, his grandma comes out like, "You guys ain't fighting. Get out the fuck out of here." I consider it. We ended it in a draw. A lot of people say I won, but at the same time, we didn't finish. We didn't finish at all. I had him in a half of a submission move by the time she came out running. Oh, it's fucking crazy, man. Life goes on. Like, that was 10 years ago for me. God, that's nuts. I was still in high school. It's like I graduated in 2014 from East Penn here in Pennsylvania. And a lot of the time when I think back at that kind of stuff, it's like, whew. There's obviously, everybody has the good, everybody has the bad as far as high school goes. I feel like mine was a little half and half. It depends on how you look at it. I had an amazing run, and for those who have seen on the YouTube channel, I had an amazing run in the music department. I had small stints in athletics. As far as classes go, I was terrible at math and science. Math and science still are. I can't really say that because I've actually developed more of an interest in certain sciences, astrology, biology, and certain aspects of biology. Zoology. Zoology's been a big science that I've just always loved. Zoology's always been a big fucking thing for me. I love animals. That's all it is. And then you get to a certain point when you love animals so much, it's like, well, I fucking know so much about animals. Damn, I might as well just start calling myself an amateur. And I've pretty much gotten to the point to call myself an amateur zoologist, more or less for like the past 10 years, just watching like Animal Planet shows and general documentaries. And for those of you who have not watched it at all, for some veterinarian shows, they can be a little graphic, and sometimes the subject matter can hit somebody a little differently because of either having a previous pet like that or something like that. The Incredible Dr. Polk on Disney Channel, or on Disney Plus. Dr. Polk, the show itself was on Hulu for a long time. That's how I saw it, and then it transferred over to Disney Plus. Please, I recommend it to anybody. Go watch. 1, Doc is fucking hysterical. 2, the show itself is he's just super informative. Like, I had no idea, and for those who aren't animal people, hear me out. I had no idea that when a female cow, say like a dairy cow or something, it goes into labor, it's very, very rare that you will ever see a female cow ever have twins or multiple sets of babies at one time. Because of how physically large the calves are when they're born, it would theoretically kill either one of them or both of them in the womb to try to be born at the same time, because of so many nutrients and so many things that they're taking from the mother's body as sustenance before they're born. So that's why a lot of times when you watch the show and or when you go to farms and stuff like that, you only ever see one calf births, where if it is multiple, then more than likely the first calf is going to be out fine, but the others and or the second one unfortunately isn't going to live. And Dr. Polk obviously putting out that kind of educational stuff, but at the same time just putting out a really great and funny vibe. But yeah. Let's see, any other shows at the moment? I just got into some other shows. Impeachment. Impeachment on Amazon has been really good. The girl playing Monica is great. Sarah Paulson, whether it's American Horror Story or the True Crime show or the crime stories, or I forget, American Crime Story is basically the crime/legal version of Horror Story, as far as I can tell. I don't know if it's done by the same people. I just put that comparison out there. But Sarah Paulson, I mean, I have yet to see her in a movie or do a performance that I wasn't like, yes, let's fucking go, I'm set. I just can't watch the show here and there without thinking of John Goodman's character from the SNL skits. I can't remember the character he played or the woman he had played, but like every time she pops up on screen, I just think of her. Or think of John Goodman dressed in drag. But no, all in all, Impeachment, an amazing show. The guy who plays Bill Clinton is so fucking spot on, and it's so good. And like a lot of times people would watch stuff about Bill Clinton, and they would over dramatize his voice and mannerisms. Like Family Guy. Family Guy has the best jokey version of Bill Clinton, in my personal opinion, to where it's like, "Oh, Peter, how about we go eat that pig?" What? You serious? We're gonna go eat that pig? Yeah, Peter, we could just like go grab it and eat it. Ew. That's probably my favorite line from that whole episode. After he does the sax solo, and then Meg comes up to him in her undies. She's just like, "Take me," and he just looks at her and goes, "Ew." That's more fucking Jesus. I tried to do Seth Rogen and came out Fat Albert. Ow. Laughed so hard I bumped my head. What's going on? Oh man. This podcast is definitely something different. But yeah, all in all, ladies and gentlemen, the state of wrestling in itself, it's good. Back to that rant in itself, because I keep getting sidetracked. You know, WWE, like I said, is going to be always my heart. My heart's always going to be in WWE. I'm always, even if I don't sit and watch shows or pay-per-views regularly, as I had done before, I'm still going to watch the reviews and watch the breakdowns and the highlight reels from WWE to see, you know, if it works, if the storyline's good enough for me to want to follow, yeah, I'm going to follow the storyline. But at the same time, yeah, I always am personally looking at the performance. I'm always just looking at the performance and what personally I could learn from somebody. Because that's the biggest thing for anybody who wants to be a professional wrestler, who wants to be a part of professional wrestling or anything like that. The biggest piece of advice I've always stuck to, as far as professional wrestling goes, is take every opportunity that you can to learn anything. Like if you sit there and go to a booking and you are like, I don't need to, learn nothing. Like if you feel that you've learned enough, you need to get the fuck out, because a professional wrestler is always constantly learning. You should always constantly learning about your timing, about where your physical placement is in the ring, body awareness, general ring awareness. If you got a guy that goes to, we do a basic ass suplex, but he oversells and ends up sending himself into the opposite side ropes. Well, now you got to compensate for that time to get up, go back over to him, pick him back up, or to set up the next spot. That's the biggest thing about it. Communication and fucking safety. If I gotta fucking yell, if I gotta yell this from the fucking rooftops, I will. The amount of times within the last few years that I've just seen guys in WWE or major companies, like you can sometimes as a wrestling fan, you can tell when the guys are communicating. That's supposed to happen so that the show and or the match can go, smoothly. The biggest thing about that, though, is you got certain guys that just don't fucking talk, and they just want to speed through fucking spots, and either they get botched, get hurt, or it just looks like shit. And it's like, dude, just calm down, take your pacing. If you have a part in your match that's super fast-paced, go ahead, that's fine. But you have to have those sometimes singular moments, unless the match full-on calls just to go balls to the wall the whole time. There's a lot of matches out there that just deserve just to fucking go crazy right off the bat, but not every match needs to be that way. And I feel like sometimes, oh my god, I don't even want to talk about that with WWE. I'll put out my general frustrations with WWE, because I'm kind of being nice and beating around the bush. WWE is one of the oldest professional wrestling products on the planet, aside from maybe New Japan and NWA. I'll put those three as what I personally know is the three oldest companies in professional wrestling at the moment. NWA, WWE, that are still active from the older days. New Japan, NWA, WWE. I'll put it this way. WWE's character management here and there has been fucking dog shit. Their storylines from time to time have been really fucking stupid. And I personally think that Vince McMahon is very, very capable and very, very smart when it comes to professional wrestling. He's been doing it for how long, and he's been killing the game for how long. But at the same time, he just needs to get his head out of his fucking ass. Needs to get his head out of his ass. and I'm not saying that every wrestling company that they're the only ones. There's a couple of wrestling companies that get their head out of their ass too. Speaking of which, I don't know if anybody else has seen it. Speaking about stupid shit in wrestling companies, I will preference this part with saying that I was a fan of Tessa Blanchard. I am still a fan of her father's, but given the reasons why she was let go by Impact and a few other companies, I just don't know if she were to come back to wrestling, I don't really know if I would care. Unless she would full on just be like, listen, I made my mistakes. I took my time away from wrestling. I, put her through sense. You know what? And if she doesn't want to do it, then fuck her, because she's a dickhead at that point. But put her through sensitivity training. Sammy Guevara had to do it. Shit ton of other guys had to do it. And look at Sammy now. Sammy's been one of the top fucking guys for AEW's product, and now is their TNT champion. Ignore the Mando from across the room. Oh my god. I'll finish up this wrestling point so we can get to the Star Wars stuff, because I'm so fucking excited. No, all in all, WWE is still one of the biggest wrestling companies on the planet. That cannot be denied. Does WWE need a lot of help with their backstage handling, storyline, character work, all that kind of stuff? Fuck yes. I believe Bruce Pritchard honestly can do some really, really good things. I honestly, though, feel that Vince McMahon is hindering the creative process, not only for individual superstars, but for companies, for brands as a whole. Dude, I like the aesthetic change for NXT, and we're getting guys like Braun Breaker. I forget how to fucking say his name already, but I like his energy. I like his momentum. I like the gear. The tie-dye singlet, old school. I love that. And he's all around really good. Him and Ciampa going up against each other for the NXT title. I wasn't expecting that. I probably wouldn't have booked it that early, but at the same time, that's cool. If it's going to be a one-off match where it's going to, fuel them teaming up or Ciampa facing somebody else, then Braun comes back later. But as far as, back real quick to the Tessa Blanchard note, though, if Women of Wrestling does try to reform, which the big rumor right now is that Women of Wrestling is going to try to make a comeback, and that they would want to bring Tessa Blanchard in, I would really, really hope that you guys aren't banking on just Tessa Blanchard. I wouldn't think they would, but we've seen certain companies try to put all their eggs in one basket, and it just fucking turns into a giant ball of bullshit. So let's see how that goes. I appreciate Tessa's work in the ring. I really did think it was a cool and really, really good thing that she had won the Impact World Championship from Callahan. Her matches with Sami Callihan were fucking brutal and just awesome. But at the same time, it's like, do I let my door open to you as a fan, only to be either disgusted with my choice of being your fan, or disgusted that you're back in wrestling? And again, I'm not trying to be a dick about it. I'm not trying to make digs. I'm just pointing out what a fan might feel. And that's how I personally feel. I like Tessa Blanchard. I think she's a really great competitor, like I said. But at the same time, as someone who highly advocates that people need to learn from their history so that they don't repeat it, I didn't hear her make any kind of apology. And if she did, it was not advertised whatsoever, unless I missed it. And, if I did, my bad. But there's been at least 3 or 4 people in itself that had come out and said something against Tessa. And it's like, this is not the era or the place in wrestling or the world for us to be doing that. So there's my thoughts on Blanchard, and pretty much there we go, my thoughts on wrestling at the moment. Real quick, we're going to talk about Star Wars. So anybody's not interested in Star Wars, you can hop off now. The rest of y'all, come on into the ship. We're heading to Coruscant. We're making round trips around the galaxy. I got to stop off and pick up some moisture from Tatooine. I really want to know, as a random fan thought, if you're a moisture farmer at Tatooine, what do you tell people? Like, oh, I farm moisture on a desert planet. But no, it is the beginning of October. the Book of Boba Fett finally got its release date for the 29th of December. Personally, I was really, really hoping for late November, early December. But at least we still get it in 2022. And I'm pretty sure just reading through the rumor mills and like seeing a lot of the stuff that on YouTube and a lot of that kind of stuff, this should kick off the next gen or not gen, but the next wave. Book of Boba Fett. I'm super fucking excited. I will never, ever not want to see anything that Tamara Morrison is part of. Obviously, he played Django. He plays Boba. He plays Aquaman's fucking dad. And there's like a bunch of other movies and shows that he's been in. But like, Tamara Morrison is just one of those cool fucking dudes, man. If anybody saw him doing the haka on set, like I have always just had a general love and appreciation for Polynesian culture, especially the Maori out of New Zealand, which is, I believe, the predominant nationality and or heritage that Tamara Morrison has. And I love the fact too. I think one of my favorite parts of Mando, and I think why I'm really, really, really excited for Book of Boba Fett. One, they've already said it, that it's going to be a lot more. It's going to be a lot harder hitting and a lot more violent, really. And I'm down for that. I am so down for that. The other thing is, more character story from Boba's aspect of what happened between Return of the Jedi and now. Obviously, as everybody knows, Boba was eaten by the Sarlacc, and then in canon now, through The Mandalorian Season 2, Cobb Vanth had found his armor after wandering the desert on Tatooine for a long time. The Jawas had it. Like fan speculation on that. I feel like here's two different versions of it. One, Boba got out and sold his armor to the Jawas so he can just live his life in privacy with the Tuskens, because he just got to a certain point where he's like, this is fucking bullshit. I literally just almost got eaten by a giant sandworm. Fuck that. Or somehow he got spat out and then his armor got spat out separately. Because I personally don't see Boba just giving up or selling his fucking armor, especially for how hard he wanted to go. The thing about it though, all right, let me ask this though. If Boba was so concerned about getting his armor back near the end of season 2 of Mandalorian, why the fuck didn't he come and confront Cobb Vanth? Like, Tamara Morrison would have had every right to walk up to Cobb and be like, that's my armor. And, like, all he had to do was pull the fucking chain code on there and be like, yes, this is my father, Django. This is me, Boba. This is my sister, Omega. No. Yes, and I do believe that I am praying and hoping that we get Boba Fett in Bad Batch Season 2. And let me know in the comments below what everybody thought of Bad Batch. Honestly, I loved it. I loved seeing the clone, Republic, and or Imperial civilian side, too. Like, all of those little tropes that we didn't see in the main movies or Clone Wars or anything. Like, all the small little details that we either have heard about or missed from the transition from the Galactic Republic to the Galactic Empire. Like, the implementation of chain codes for civilians and vehicles and stuff like that. And clones being straight up dicks. And, like, we get the Syndulas and everything, and Hera and her father and her mother and Chop. And the fact, too, that we get to see Chop's... Like, we're right in the mix of not that far off when Chop was rebuilt by Hera. I'm not sure how long of a time frame that it is at this point to where Hera built or rebuilt or fixed Chop. But it cannot be that far off when him and his clone pilot crashed. Because that's just some cool shit. But I would love to see somehow, some way. You know what I just thought of? Oh, you know what I just thought of? I wonder if Hera had ever told Kanan, or Caleb. I call him Kanan just because fuck off. But I wonder if Hera ever told Kanan about encountering the Bad Batch. And then I wonder if Kanan had told Hera that that Hunter pretty much saved him from Order 66 while the rest of the, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I feel like that would be a really cool plot point, just to have Kanan's insecurities about the clones and everything kind of soften. But we don't see that until, what, 30, almost 20, 30 years later in Rebels, when he finally meets Rex and Gregor and Wolf. But all in all, Bad Batch. I'll do a smaller rundown for the shows that have been coming out as of late. The Lego Star Wars stuff as of late, the Halloween special, it was really good. The main reason I got into it, and this is gonna sound stupid, is because the guy who played the Hutt, I can't remember his first name, the character's first name, but the Hutt in the newest Lego Star Wars Halloween special is the voice actor for Milkshake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. That was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to watch that. Because I'm like, hell yeah, Master Shake. But yeah, no, Bad Batch I thought was fantastic. The art style, to the story, to just everything was so fucking good. The references, we got Kanan and we got Hera. So, like I said, the Syndulas, her dad, or Hera's dad. Oh, it's such a good show. And then, like I said, Mando's Mando. We love Mando. Finally got my wife to watch all of Mandalorian, which was a really cool experience. She hadn't really sat and watched anything like major Star Wars before, I don't think. And I told her flat out, like, listen, even if you're not into the main story, you will fall in love with Grogu, whether you like it or not. And she's like, what do you mean you're gonna make? I'm like, no. I can't make you like Grogu. He does it by himself. And like now, my son just walks around the house like, Grogu. And that's the one thing about having a 2-year-old and trying, like, here's the small frustrations, and if anybody knows where I'm coming from, please let me know, because I really hope I'm not the only one. But having low form Asperger's, more or less like the bottom scale of autism, my brain obviously works a little differently, but I have a short fuse for attention to detail. So, like, if somebody's talking about a topic that I know a lot about and they missay something, I have to correct them. And then it's not being a dick. It's just it's the overall wanting to not have misinformation put out there about something that you care about. That's just how it goes. But my son is 2, and I cannot blame him whatsoever for this. But in the back of my head, it makes me rage when he sees Yoda. He says Grogu, and I try to tell him, no, that's Yoda, and he's like, Goku. I'm like, oh, you little fucking shithead, I swear to God. And we have a cat named Yoda. So it's like that Yoda. You know the name. You've heard it before. You've heard me yell it when she pukes on my shoes. But no, he's for 2, he's doing pretty well into Star Wars. We bought him like $5 lightsabers from Walmart. That was fun. But yeah, he's in his own tangent right now, which I'm perfectly fine and happy with. He's in a Batman. I'll take it. If he's in a Batman, I will take it. I love Batman. I'll tell you flat out. Anybody who's excited for Robert Pattinson's Batman, feel free to leave a comment about Batman in the comments below. I am very weary still about Robert Pattinson playing Batman. 2 of the main things of why I think he can do it. One is how he played Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter. I think he did amazing in Harry Potter, even for being in one movie and being a side character, quote unquote. He just dies at the end. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Goblet of Fire, or read it. Other than that, he's had so many. There was another movie, and I cannot remember it. And if anybody knows the name of the movie, please let me know in the comments. If there's any corrections, or if I forget something or can't remember something, please just comments are just open for everybody. Just let me know. But there was a movie where it was this big romantic love story of, like, Robert Pattinson's character falling in love with this girl, but her dad wasn't into it, so they had to fight for it, and they finally fight for it. And by the end of the movie, you find out that her dad actually works for the World Trade Centers on 9/11, and that's where he is, and he dies in 9/11 during the plane crashes. And I remember watching it for the first time, and I remember, like, they did this amazing shot, and it was the first time you realized, oh, holy shit. No fucking, like, one of my favorite movie twists of all time, honestly. But he's sitting he's just standing at a business, like in the trade center. He's just looking out this giant window, and the camera follows, from behind him, and then goes around, shoots his face from in front of him outside of the building, and then zooms out to this beautiful, just wide shot of New York and the trade centers. And I can't remember if they put a timestamp in the movie or something. Like, there was something in there that told you, not like verbally, like somebody said something, but like something on a newspaper or something on a photo or something like that. Somebody wrote it on a piece of paper, the date. And yeah, it just fucking goes gnarly from there, where like you find out he died, and her emotional story through it. I'm pretty sure her dad died in the movie, but I can't remember. But yeah. But Robert Pattinson as Batman, I'm excited. The cast in itself for the new Batman looks great. The gentleman from, they have some cast from Underworld, or not Underworld. Westworld. And for anybody who hasn't seen Westworld yet, it is a series that is gonna make you think, and it is somewhat of a long episode kind of series, but it's so good. It's so good. Make me feel good. Throws on Star Wars. But yeah, that's about all I got for today, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you taking the time to just hear me rant and hear about my opinions on a few different things. Episode 2 is gonna be out when it's out. I'm taking the Chris channel. No. Nope. I almost got myself there. Nope. No references to that motherfucker on this channel. That's gross shit. The only channel any reference to that motherfucker on this channel is gonna be the jokes that Chris O'Neill, Oni Plays, Oni NG has made from his shows. But I think, God, if you guys want me to talk about Chris Chan and my opinion on that, feel free to let me know. But personally, I don't want to talk about it. It's fucking disgusting. He's a dickhead. The biggest thing before, I'll put it this, or I might be thinking of Linkara is when I make this next statement. Which, if I am thinking of Linkara, then just direct this directly towards him. No. Chris Chan's a fucking weirdo. Fuck him. But Linkara, let me say this. I feel that Linkara is a dickhead, and here's why. One, obviously, his platform is meant to make fun of certain things and, make certain jokes, blah, blah. That's fine. His content I really haven't watched before, but knowing the amount of jokes and knowing the amount of things Chris O'Neill and the guys from Oni Plays and Oni NG, or Oni Plays more or less, has said about Chris, or not Chris, I'm sorry, Linkara, is the fact that Chris, God damn, I keep wanting to say Chris Chan. I mean Linkara, I'm sorry. But I feel like Linkara is a dickhead because out of all those jokes and everything, he's just a fucking dude. He's like, oh, they're just riding my coattails and just trying to tell me that, I suck and all this other stuff. And the fucking, I'm the light bringer. And then you go over to Nostalgia Critic, Chris Walker, and there's a fucking video of him reacting to, like, there's somebody on a podcast, like, saying, oh, what do you feel about Chris, Oni Plays his jokes, and he's like, I haven't seen a lot of them. From what I saw, they're fucking great. Like, the fact that he compliments Chris on the joke about his own voice, like, that's why I love Nostalgia Critic. He's funny as fuck. He can be annoying. Doug can be annoying, obviously. Anybody can be annoying. But it's just like Doug taking it on the chin and respecting someone for their comedic craft. And then Linkara just like, fuck those guys. I don't want to talk to them or have any association to them. Fuck those guys. Well, fuck you, Linkara. Nobody fucking likes you either. I'm kidding. There's probably a lot of a fan base that you have, but not me. I'll tell you flat out, I don't like you purely on the fact that you're a fucking dickhead. You're going to sit there and, like, I can't remember if Oni or Chris or Ding Dong or Julian or anybody on the show had ever made this point. I feel like I've heard them say, one of them had said it, and if I'm wrong, obviously, there you go. But how the fuck are you going to get butthurt about somebody making fun of you when your business in itself is making fun of other people and or making satirical comedy? Like, I don't understand that. It's like a lot of people saying that certain things shouldn't be said in stand-up. Fuck you. So, certain people find certain things funny. Certain people don't. And if you don't like it, don't watch the fucking show. That's honestly it. We've gotten into such a fucking culture right now where we have to make sure everything that's put out is catered to everyone. And the people who have specific niches, whatever, oh god, who have certain specific interests or just general interest in a certain topic, they get left out in the cold because, oh, hey, my monster movie ended up not being a monster movie. It turned into a LGBTQ monster gay rights movie. And I'm not trying to make that sound as negative as it is. I myself am more than happy, proud, and willing to support the LGBT community, being bisexual myself. But I'm going to say this for the sake of saying it. Every story does not need a gay character. If the story permits and it works out to flow in continuity to have a gay character, cool. But every story doesn't need a gay character. We don't need to recanonize our fucking characters as gay or bisexual or trans or anything like that. If it in the original story of whatever story you're talking about, they weren't gay or anything like that, they were straight or what, or they were just by themselves and didn't really care about other shit like that, then cool. Let it be that way. Now, on the same side, a lot of people are trying to add homosexual and or LGBTQ characters into certain franchises, and it's just fucking up the process. And or it doesn't, the context, it doesn't even, it has nothing to do with the context of the fucking story. So it's like, what the fuck? But again, I have no problem with gay and or homosexual and or LGBTQ plus characters in stories. I think they work really well. Obviously, we have a lot of shows and movies out there right now that really are good with that kind of thing. I forget the series that my wife was watching, and the two characters, two female characters that were in a lesbian relationship, and the one was just a fucking slacker. It had nothing to do with her sexual preferences. She was just literally a fucking slacker. She was just a dumbass. She would just sit there and negatively affect everybody in the room. And, like, this is the character. This isn't the actors, obviously. But, like, you look at the character and she's negatively affecting everybody in the room. She fucking barely puts forth effort into any kind of activity the whole group wants to do. And, like, as a couple, they're part of a band. She, I believe, is the front guitarist, I want to say, in the story. And, like, not even 5 minutes before the fucking set for their first radio gig, she fucking sits there and eats mushrooms and smokes like half a fucking, like a quarter of fucking weed, and ends up puking all over the fucking place. And then she's like, "Oh, why couldn't we perform?" Well, you fucked up and puked on the fucking recording dude's carpet. Like, fuck you. Then now granted, I will always put this out there. Cheating's not okay. If you are unhappy in a relationship, don't fucking cheat. That's some shitty stuff. Don't do that. Take it from me. I've been there too many times to count. It doesn't work out in the end. It just puts you in it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. But ultimately, drop my mic again. But ultimately, the main person in the relationship that the story follows, Mayor of Easttown, Mare of Easttown. My wife and I it just dawned on me what the fuck the name of it was, but it takes place in Pennsylvania, which whoop whoop. The fact that, like, any other time in the show that I turn it on and I see a Swiss beverage company, like like, and I'm not saying like something made in Switzerland. There's a brand of, like, drinks, like iced tea and, like, lemonade and stuff like that, called Swiss. If you are in Pennsylvania, you know what I'm talking about. Whoop woo! Fucking Swiss tea cooler, bro. No, that raspberry lemonade, I haven't had some in a minute. But, bro, that's some of the dopest shit. Swiss beverages, fucking the iced sweet tea is alright. Tea cooler's personally my favorite. Iced tea is my second favorite. The lemonade raspberry, and then the orange drink. Oh, man. But at the moment, yeah, I think we're just going to cut it there. Pretty much an hour-long podcast. I want to thank everybody, like I said, for tuning in and listening to me rant. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. As always, we'll keep you guys updated on everything going on with the channel and everything going on as far as myself and Bull PM goes. Feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure to go follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Both myself and Bull PM, including Dying Breed as a tag team itself, all have social medias. The links are on our main Facebook, or on the main YouTube page. Feel free to check that out. Feel free to check out the Bull PM playlist and my playlist of my previous wrestling matches. And when you get the chance, feel free to hop over to RCW Wrestling, one of the newest wrestling companies out of Tower City and or Tremont, Pennsylvania. Their super show from earlier in September is out now. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. We will be more than likely doing a podcast episode about the show in itself and giving you a honest and just unbiased review of the show. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into the first episode of the Mad Dog Podcast. If you guys enjoy, like I said, feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. If you guys don't, let me know that this is boring and or if I need to, pick up some of the topics. But yeah, again, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you. Remember, solemnly swear that you're up to no good. Don't have too much fun. If you're having too much fun, don't get caught. And remember, the Force will be with you always.